Hello, guys. I hope you all are in good health now. And we are back. IB is back. IB is very sorry for being all this while away. But yes, the exam had been postponed. There had to be a lot of new strategies and new ways to mend things again and get back to the work and everything. So IB needed its time, and now IB is back. And without any stopping, let's now begin with this video and see what all are we to supposed to cover in this video. So, the first thing today that we would be starting with is science because guys, IB has completed polity, a lot of portions from there. IB has also touched the history part, a little bit of geography and everything, but science is something that IB has never approached. And yes, that is why let's start with science too. And again, we have thought of something new, something interesting, and something that is gonna help you for a longer run. And IB can also be of great help to you. You might just know how to, proceed with other things. So the first chapter that we have today, motion in our surroundings, is something that we would be completing in this video. I know it's gonna be a little lengthier than the time that you might take, but to me, on a very personal note, guys, NCRTs had been a very boring thing because they teach you something that you already know, but you have to again read them. So I think this could be an easiest way to just cover both of us simultaneously. So let's begin. So now when we look at the chapter 1, matter in our surroundings, we will see what all this chapter is talking of. We'll find that yes, it's talking of the matter, then the physical nature of matter, then we talk about the characteristics of matter, and after that we see the states of matter, what all states are there, their convertibility, whether they can be converted or not, can they change their state or not, and how can they change its temperature, its pressure. So now what effect does temperature gives, what effect does pressure give, and apart from that we'll see what all evaporation is, the factors affecting evaporation and everything, and then there's a summary, and then there is the question and answer round. So accordingly we'll look at all of this, and thus we'll complete our chapter 1. So now let's begin without wasting our time. So the first things first that we come across is what is matter according to this book. So air, the food, stones, clouds, stars, plants, animals, any drop of water, particles of sand, everything is matter that we can look around ourselves and we can think that yes, it occupies space, mass, and have energy. So physical nature of matter, the first thing that the book is telling us is that matter is made up of particles. So there are certain particles that the matter is made up of. And the second thing that they're telling is, they are asking is, how small are these particles of matter, like what is the size and how all are the things there. So in that one small thing that completes after all the activities, the conclusion that is there, that yes, there are millions of tiny particles that just one crystal of the experiment that they've done, it's given here, and which keeps on dividing themselves into smaller and smaller particles. So now guys, if you have your NCRT book, what you can do is just mark out all the important portions, and with this video go accordingly so that you complete your chapter. And if you think that you do not have that book right now, or you are in some bus or something like that, you're traveling and then you're just trying to complete it, so do it accordingly with me. So yes, then we come to the characteristics of particles of matter. What are they talking about? They are saying that yes, particles of matter have space between them, because the particles of one type of matter get into the spaces between the particles of the other, and accordingly they mix and match, and that is why they have space between them. So the second portion of the space says that yes, particles of matter are also continuously moving. So there are 2-3 activities that is shown, and accordingly this is given here, that particles of matter are continuously moving, that is, they possess what we call the kinetic energy. So what happens is, when the temperature rises, the kinetic energy also increases. So it's like the direct proportion that is there. And also there's one small definition of diffusion, which is saying that intermixing of particles of two different types of matter on their own is called diffusion. The third characteristic that they're talking of is particles of matter attract each other. What do they mean when they say attract each other? They say that particles of matter have force acting between them. This force keeps the particle together, and that is why they are able to attract each other. The strength of this force of attraction varies from one kind of matter to another. Now there's a small section of questions that we have here. The first question being, which of the following are matter? See, if we see of chair, air, love, smell, hate, almonds, thought, cold drink, smell of perfume and everything, you will find that yes, chair is the matter. Air can also be considered as matter. Love is a what? It's a feeling. Smell is what? It's a sense. Hate is also again a feeling, so it's not there. Almonds can be a matter, yes. Thoughts, no. Cold, definitely not. So then we have cold drink also. This is not a matter, because matter are what? All small little things. And then like water can be a matter, and the smell of perfume can be matter. Why? Because there are some substances that are present in the air that occupy space and have mass. So yes, smell of perfume can be categorized as having a matter, being a matter basically. Then we have the second question being, give reasons for the following observation. The smell of hot sizzling food reaches you several meters away, but to get the smell from cold food you have to go close. See, when the particles in the air are fueled with higher temperatures, like there are more temperatures, what did we study? That higher temperatures, that means more kinetic energy. So when there are hot food, that means higher temperature. When there's higher temperature, there is more kinetic energy. That kinetic energy helps that smell to move faster, irrespective of the smell being whatever, like the good smell or the bad smell. So that is why just because hot foods have more of kinetic energy, they get more smell, and that is why it reaches a person even at a distance of several meters. And cold food do not have that much of kinetic energy, so ultimately they lack in spreading their smell. Next question that we have is, a diver is able to cut through water in a swimming pool. Which property of matter does this observation show? See, when the diver is able to easily cut through the water in the swimming pool, why is it happening? Because the water molecules, as we see that particles attract each other, right? So the water molecules that are there have weak forces of attraction between them, and that is why the property of water, which is having weaker forces of attraction, they can attribute to easy diving, and thus a diver is able to connect and coordinate. So that is why basically whatever we studied, they're just giving you a reason, they're giving you a question, and then you have to frame your answer accordingly. Then what are the characteristics of the particles of matter? So yes, this we've completed very easily, that they have spaces between them, they are in constant motion, and they attract each other. All three done. Next, when we come to the smaller portions after that, see, states of matter, we have the solid state, we have the liquid state, and we have the gaseous state, that is here. So when we look at the solid state, they are basically wanting to tell you that the solid that has a definite shape, that has a boundary, that has fixed volumes, have negligible compressibility. They have a tendency to maintain their shape, and they may break under force, but it is difficult to change their shape, so they are rigid. So all of these, when these properties are there, that matter is a solid matter. When we see liquid, they have no fixed shape but have a fixed volume. They take up the shape of the container in which they are kept. Liquids flow and change shape, so they are not rigid but can be called fluid. And also there's one small portion that says solids, liquids and gases can diffuse in liquids. The rate of diffusion of liquids is higher than that of solids. This is due to the fact that in the liquid state, particles move freely, have greater space between each other as compared to particles in the solid state. And this can be your answer for the diver also, that a diver is able to cut through water in a swimming pool. This again is the property. Then when we look at the gaseous state that we are talking of, see, gases are highly compressible. So there's one small thing, see, particles of the aroma of food mixed with the particles of air spread from the kitchen, reach us and even farther away. Why? Because due to the high speed of particles and large space between them, gases show the property of diffusing very fast into other gases, and thus the smell mixes in the other things. Now again, there's a small bunch of questions that here, and we are not going to miss it out because questions can be important. See, the mass per unit volume of a substance is called density. Density is equal to mass by volume. Arrange the following in an order of increasing density air, exhaust from chimneys, honey, water, chalk, cotton, and iron. So I think increasing density they are asking, the first could be air, then exhaust from chimneys, then you can talk about cotton, then you can go for water, then you can go for honey, then you can go for chalk, and then for iron. And why does density increase or decrease? That's all because of the mass and volume, everything. So you've also to consider what is the mass of that thing that you are talking of and what is the volume, and accordingly you'll have to find out the density. Second question is tabulate the differences in the characteristics of states of matter. Again, you can take the characteristics in different forms, like you can call shape, you can call volume, you can call force, you can call space, I mean intermolecular space, you can call their rigidness or fluidity that they have, and you can also talk of the compressibility. So when we talk of the shape, see, solids have a fixed shape, liquid have no fixed shape, gas have no fixed shape. Then when we talk of fixed volume, solids have a fixed volume, liquid also has a fixed volume, but gas does not have a fixed volume. Again, when we talk of the intermolecular force, that is here, solids have the maximum intermolecular force, liquids is lesser than solids, and gas is very, very less. Then when we talk of intermolecular space, it's again solids have a very less intermolecular space, liquid has it more than the solids, and gas is the maximum intermolecular space that they have. Rigidity, solids are very rigid, cannot flow, liquid cannot flow but are not rigid, I mean can flow but are not rigid, and gases the same, they can flow and not rigid. And when we talk of the compressibility, solids are negligible, liquid compressible, and gases highly compressible. So I think this way you can tabulate the differences between in the characteristics of states of matter. Then comment upon the following: rigidity, compressibility, fluidity, filling a gas container, shape, kinetic energy, and density. So what you have to do is you have to comment on them. So basically you're just writing the definitions, you're writing what do you understand from it. So when we talk of rigidity, rigidity is what? It is a characteristic maybe of a substance that they remain in shape whenever they are treated with an external force, because if the liquid wasn't rigid, they could have just flown in the way they are asked. Compressibility is what? It again is the attitude or characteristic of a particle to contract its space when exposed to an external force. Now when we look at fluidity, it is talking of the ability of a substance to flow, that is liquid. Filling the gas container, that is what? That particles in a container take a shape as they randomly vibrate in all possible directions, and accordingly they are compressed in that container. Then when they are talking of shape, it's what? It's the structure of the object within an external boundary, like there's a boundary and inside that whatever structure is taken by the object, that shape. And kinetic energy, very easy, motion allowing the particles to possess energy, that is referred to as kinetic energy. And density is what? Mass of a unit volume of a substance. So I'm hoping that you are able to write it down. Please keep a note of it. You might just not know UPSC how they challenge you on all of this. See, give reasons. Now when we look at give reasons, it's asking a gas fills completely the vessel in which it is kept. Why? Because kinetic energy of gas is very high, so they can move in all directions, and hence in that vessel the gas can be filled completely without leaving any gap. Gas exerts pressure on the walls of the container. How? Because again gas possesses high kinetic energy, so they are under constant motion inside the container, and thus they hit the walls of the container and hence create vibrations, and these vibrations are then considered as the pressure. Then a wooden table should be called a solid. A wooden table should be called a solid. Why? Because again the properties that we studied, that they have a definite size, they have a definite size, they have a definite shape, they have the attraction between them are closely packed, they are rigid, and they cannot be compressed. So again they can be considered as solid. We can easily move our hand in air, but to do the same through a solid block of wood, we need a karate expert. Now, why is this so? Because see, molecules in gases are loosely packed as compared to solid molecules, because molecules in solid are densely packed. Thus, when we are able to break the force of attraction when we move our hand through air. So air has the loosely packed molecules in it, so we are able to do that, but solid has densely packed, so the force, the smashing force is required, which can only be done by a karate expert. Then the question is, liquids generally have lower density as compared to solids, but you must have observed that uh, ice floats on water. Find out why. See, density of ice is less than density of water, so low density can be attributed to the small pores it has, which allows it to trap air. Hence, ice floats on water. Ice that has lower density floats on water. Now the another question is, can matter change its state? And again we have a lot of activity that they've done, and the whole explanation is that when the temperature of solids increase, kinetic energy increases, and due to this increase, particles start vibrating with greater speed. Energy supplied by heat overcomes the forces of attraction between the particles. Particles leave their fixed position, start moving freely, and then there's a stage where solid melts. It is converted to a liquid, and then this temperature at which a solid melts is called the melting point. And melting point of ice is 273.16 K, that's given here. Then when you look at the amount of heat energy that is required to change 1 kg of a solid into liquid at atmospheric pressure at its melting point is known as the latent heat of fusion, and temperature at which a liquid starts boiling at the atmospheric pressure is known as its boiling point. Now there's a small portion called latent heat of vaporization. See, when the water temperature is 373 K, now how do you convert it into degrees Celsius that they are asking of? Because 0 degree is equal to 273 K, that's given here, which you'll be able to find. C is 273 K. So accordingly, if you want 100 degrees Celsius, what you do is 0 degree plus 100 degree will give you the required K. So 0 degree is what, 273, and then plus 100 is equal to 373 K. And that is how you're going to find out the conclusions of the answers. Now one question is there, that latent heat of vaporization, what is it? It is that, see, particles in steam, water vapor at 373 K have more energy than water at the same temperature. Why? Because this is now becoming gas. So particles in steam have absorbed extra energy in the form of latent heat of vaporization. So solid upon heating, liquid, liquid upon heating, gaseous, and cooling again back to solid. And so this was it. The change can be happening, and a change of state directly from solid to gas without changing into liquid is called sublimation. Now this was the effect of change in the matters of solid due to temperature, and now we are coming to effect of change due to pressure. And here you will find that see, there's a small portion called, have you heard of solid carbon dioxide? What's this is that it is stored under high pressure. So solid carbon dioxide gets converted directly to gaseous state on decrease of pressure to 1 atmosphere without coming into liquid state, and that is why this is what we call as dry ice. So these were the small activities that was given, and now there's a small portion what says, when solid upon fusion converts to liquid, liquid upon vaporization converts to gas, and gas upon sublimation converts to solid. Solid, and again when we go back, solid upon sublimation converts to gas, gas upon condensation converts to liquid, and liquids upon solidification converts to solid. So this was it about this. Now when we come to the small questions again that we have here, we'll see the convert the following temperatures to Celsius scale. Again that we took note of. See, 300 K. Now they are asking us to convert it into Celsius scale. So what are we doing? See, this is 300 K, and we know we know 0 degrees Celsius is what, 273 K. So what are we going to do is, we are going to deduct it with 0 degrees Celsius, that is 273 K. And the answer, that is like if this is 27 degrees Celsius, we are going to get the answer is 27 degrees Celsius. Again the next part, 573 K minus 273 K, we get it as 300 degrees Celsius. Second question, what is the physical state of water at 250 degrees Celsius? This is what, see, at 250 it's gonna be what, it's gonna be gaseous state. Why? Because it is beyond its boiling point. And 100 degree it's gonna be at boiling point again, because it would be present in both liquid and gaseous state, because this is at boiling point. Okay, Next question. For any substance, why does the temperature remain constant during the change of state? See, just because we have the latent heat that we had talked of, the heat supplied to increase the temperature of the substance is used to transform the state of matter, and hence the temperature stays constant, but the substance has been shifted, that has been transformed to another state of matter. Suggest a method to liquefy atmospheric gases. It can be achieved. You can either increase the pressure or decrease the temperature, and what will happen is the spaces between molecules will reduce, and accordingly what we want, we'll get it. Now when we look at evaporation, it is the change of liquid into vapors at any temperature below its boiling point. And factors that affects evaporation is, see, surface area. Why? Because when there's an increase in surface area, the rate of evaporation also increases. When there's an increase in temperature, there is more of kinetic energy, and thus again the vapor state also increases. Decrease in humidity, what happens is, if the amount of water is already high, the rate of evaporation decreases. And an increase in wind speed, what happens that when the wind speed increases, the particles of water vapor move away with the wind, and thus the amount of water vapor decreases in the surrounding. Next, when we have how does evaporation cause cooling? See, the particles of liquid absorb energy from the surrounding to regain the energy lost during evaporation, and this absorption of energy from the surroundings make the surroundings cold. Accordingly, we have why when we use nail polish remover on our hands, what happens that we feel so much of cold suddenly on our palms or fingers or wherever the acetone falls. Accordingly, there's another explanation to why should we wear cotton clothes in summer, and there's one small portion of why do we see water droplets on the outer surface of a glass containing ice cold water. And the explanation is that water vapor present in air on coming in contact with cold glass loses energy, gets converted to liquid state, which we see as water droplets. Now we have another set of questions that's given here. Why does a dessert cooler cool better on a hot dry day? Because when the temperature is high, it is less humid. Now we have better evaporation because of that, and high levels of evaporation provide better cooling effects. So the first answer is henceforth the explanation is given. How does the water kept in an earthen pot become cool during summer? Why? Because earthen pot is porous in nature, so they have small tiny pores in them that facilitate penetration of water, and hence the evaporation from the pot surface, and accordingly the water turns cooler. Why does a palm feel cold when we put some acetone or petrol or perfume on it? This explanation is what we had here, so you can just go through them and you'll know the answer. Why are we able to sip hot tea or milk faster from a saucer rather than a cup? Because a saucer has a larger surface area, and that's what we saw, that when there's an increase in surface area, the evaporation rate increases, and hence it cools faster. What type of clothes should we wear in summer? Again, these are the cotton clothes that we should be wearing in summer, and the explanation is given here. Now when we look into what have all we learned, this is all given here, and then we come to the main exercises that's here. Convert the following temperatures to the Celsius scale: 293K and 473K. Again, 293K minus 273K gives you 20 degrees Celsius, and 470K minus 293K gives you 197 degrees Celsius. Convert the following temperatures to the Kelvin scale when we have 25 degrees Celsius, right? So 0 degrees Celsius is what? 273K. So what are we going to do? This plus 273K, 298K for this, and 373 plus 273K, that is 646 for this. Next we have is naphthalene balls disappear with time without leaving any solid. Why? Because at room temperature, when naphthalene balls are kept, they undergo sublimation instead of going through the the fusion and then into the gaseous vaporization. They directly go through sublimation, so they directly change from solids to liquids, to gaseous. And then the second question that we have is, we can get the smell of perfume sitting several meters away. The same thing, that yes, molecules of air move at a higher speed because they have more kinetic energy, and accordingly they have large intermolecular spaces, so they can scatter quickly in air. Then arrange the following substances in increasing order of forces of attraction between the particles. Again, when we are talking of the forces of attraction, we saw solids have the most, liquids then, and gases have the least. So at increasing order, it would be oxygen, water, and then sugar. What is the physical state of water at 25 degrees Celsius? It's the normal room temperature. 0 degrees Celsius, that will be freezing point, and 100 degrees Celsius would be the boiling point. Give 2 reasons to justify water at room temperature is a liquid. How? See, transition in the states of matter of water occurs at 0 degree to 100 degrees. So at a room temperature, water is at its normal, exhibiting all their normal properties. So water at room temperature is a liquid. Why an iron almirah is a solid at room temperature? Because the melting and boiling points are too high than the normal room temperature, which is 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, and thus it is solid at room temperature. Why is ice at 273 K more effective in cooling than water at the same temperature? Because water at this temperature at 273 K is less effective than ice, because ice can form water through absorption of heat, but water cannot exhibit this property because it already has enough heat to stay at water part. That is why ice can cool faster than water at this temperature. What produces more severe burns, boiling water or steam? Definitely steam, because steam produces this because it has exothermic reaction, because it can release large amount of heat at one point of time than the boiling water. Now this is the last question for this first chapter, which is name A, B, C, D, E and F in the following diagram. They are asking, so what's happening is, C, solid upon melting is liquid, so it's A. A is melting, or you can call fusion, the word that they had explained in the chapter. Liquid upon vaporization or evaporation turns to gas, so B could be evaporation or vaporization. Gas on condensation turns to liquid, and liquid on solidification turns to solid. Again, solid directly to gas is through sublimation, and gas directly to solid is through deposition. So accordingly, all these 6 terms are correct, and thus we come to the end of the first chapter. But see guys, it took us half an hour, but we at least completed it through thorough end, and I'm pretty sure, just like me, you guys would be able to answer anything with good explanation that whenever you're asked for. If this video has been of any help of you, do give a thumbs up, do like it, do comment down anything or everything, whatever you understood or any doubt that you have, and do subscribe to Ideal Bibliotheca. That's the best, that keeps us going, and we can have a big family as we want. And also, if you want the daily MCQs, IB is again starting it on their Instagram page. It is given, the link is in the description. Just go check it out. If you like it, if you think it's helpful to you, do follow the pattern and do follow there. Thank you so much.